Hello, BookTube. I'm looking for recommendations for books by Barbara Kingsolver, Francine Prose, Richard Russo, Percival Everett, and Toni Morrison. So, before I talk about the five authors I've just mentioned, some caveats. While I'm thinking of, in Barbara Kingsolver's case, finally getting around to reading one of her books after 20 years or so of wanting to read her, and giving second chances to Prose, Russo, Everett, and Morrison. I have not had the best time with fiction the last few years, and the genre of fiction that these five authors represent or write in, I've had even less success over a much longer period. Not enough to really just wash my hands of the entire genre, but yeah, it's about 90% bail rate, and it's been that way for a long time. So, I don't know, even if I do add them to your recommendations to the collection, there is always the possibility that I'm not going to get on with it. So, don't be mad at me, okay? So let's talk a bit about the author. So I've wanted to read Barbara Kingsolver for a while. I think ever since I first heard about the Poisonwood Bible. But it's always been in the back of my mind. I would occasionally look for her work, but I could never find it. So with Kingsolver recently winning the Pulitzer and the Women's Prize, I thought now would be a great time to finally get around to reading her. So I'm not going to read Demon Copperhead because it's not out in paperback yet, and I don't really want to spend the money on a hardcover. So I'm thinking of three of her backlist novels. The Poisonwood Bible, in which a family moves to Africa to serve as missionaries. Flight Behavior, which is some way, shape, or form about monarch butterflies, which is largely the main reason why I'm interested in the book. And Lacunae, which is a historical novel about a young man who gets involved with Diego Rivera and Frida Kahlo. So yeah. Now, Barbara Kingsolver isn't the only author that I've really been interested in reading their work for a long time. Concurrently with her were Francine Prose and Richard Russo. I had wanted to read Francine Prose's The Blue Angel for years, and I finally got around to reading it, and I hated it. But I'm thinking of giving Francine Prose another shot. So I was thinking of, I think it's My New American Life, which is about the immigration experience post 9/11, or Mr. Monkey, which is about a children's theater. But I'm also thinking maybe Francine Prose's biography of Cleopatra, although maybe it should be more of a literary analysis of Cleopatra than a biography. So I don't know. And then with Richard Russo, I wanted to read his novel Empire Falls for a long time, and while my mother really is enjoying it, I did not enjoy what I read of it, so I'm thinking maybe I could give him another shot. And in this case, it would be That Old Cape Magic, and which is about a screenwriter who's thinking about going back to Hollywood, and Somebody's Full, which is about a small town. And I'm also thinking about Percival Everett, who I haven't wanted to read his work nearly so long as the other three. But I finally got around to reading him earlier this year on the strength of his recent novel, The Trees. I didn't get on with the book, so I'm thinking of maybe giving him another go. So I'm leaning towards either Telephone or Percival Everett by Virgil Russel. I saw just recently Brian of Bookish talk about Telephone, so maybe I could give that one a go. It is a bit higher in my Libris wish list than Virgil Russel or Percival Everett by Virgil Russel, which I would have to go dig for. Well, I really would have to go dig for both of them because I don't quite remember where they are. And then Toni Morrison, I read her novel. I bailed on her novel Beloved last year, and I would like to give her another shot. I would like to try to get on with her work. So, yeah, any recommendations would be welcome, but just be aware it might be dead with me because I've not really gotten on with the fiction I've been reading for the last 3 years, and certainly with literary fiction, or however you want to term the genres of fiction that Kingsolver, Prose, um, Russo, Everett, and Morrison write. Just, yeah, I don't really get on with that at all. So, anyway, BookTube, thank you. Have a great afternoon. And until I see you tomorrow, thank you and stay safe.